I've noticed that a ton of people who are looking to buy a budget chair on Amazon are buying from this brand, SIHOO. The only problem is I have no idea which chair they're buying because they all have pretty much the exact same name, #marketing. So I'm gonna be checking out two of SIHOO's chairs. This is the SIHOO Ergonomic Office Chair, and next week I'm gonna review the other SIHOO Ergonomic Office Chair, not to be confused with the other SIHOO Ergonomic Office Chairs. All right, I don't even know why. Let's get honest. Yes, I'm aware that this is a dark chair on a dark background. I try to brighten up the background so that you guys could see it a little bit better. I don't have any sets right now, but in the coming weeks, a fix is coming, so stay tuned, some really exciting news. Anyways, this chair is the most confusing chair I've ever sat on because there are things about it that I love. This seat cushion here, for example, is better in my opinion than the $1,000 sales seat. And then there are some things about this chair that I'm just like, why would anybody do this? Like, why would anybody build it this way? So let's start with the sizing. This chair claims that it can accommodate people from 5'5" all the way to 6'2", and I think that's pretty accurate. It can also support up to 330 pounds, and that's where it gets a little bit iffy. I'm 5'6" with shorter legs, and for me, you can see that when I sit on the ground like this, or when I sit on the chair, my feet are flat on the ground. Unfortunately, my knees are a little bit lower than I'd like them to be, so I do need to use a footrest with this chair. If you're 5'5" or even 5'4", you can probably get away with using this chair. Just make sure you get a footrest with decent amount of height, so you can get that 90 degree or slightly above 90 degree on your knees here. The reason why it's good for taller folks is because this back can actually notch up 2 times, increasing the overall height of the backrest by 4 inches, so that if you are taller, your back isn't gonna, your shoulders especially aren't gonna ram into the edges of the chair. Now, when it comes to that 330 pound claim though, that's where I get a little bit like, just be wary. It's not poorly built by any means, but the plastic doesn't feel like the most durable plastic in industry. Obviously, it's a more budget-oriented chair. And when I sit ergonomics herbal mode, what I like to do is I like to push down in the arms, lift myself up, and get into the chair. And I'm about 176 pounds. And when I did that, I heard a lot of creaking. And so if you are someone who goes in the ergonomic mode, or you like to stand up and step on your chair and you're on the heavier end, those are all things that you should be wary of. Really quickly, my goal for 2022 is to hit 50,000 subscribers. So if you could do me a huge favor and get subscribed, hit that notification bell, like this video, leave a comment down below. That helps YouTube promote this video to others who are looking for their perfect office chair or home office ideas. I'd really appreciate it. The legs on this chair are rounded, but they're nice and wide, which makes it ideal for resting your feet on, except for the fact that the seat depth is pretty wide. And so if you try to rest your feet on the legs like I do, this seat cushion, also because it's thick, is gonna generally ram into your cap. So it's not great for that. The casters on this chair though are really good. They're pretty quiet, and I believe they work both on hard floors and on carpet. Under the chair, the controls are pretty basic. You get a giant knob down here, which you can tighten or loosen to adjust the tension of the back tilt. And then over here on the right side, you get a paddle. And if you push that paddle down, it controls the chair's height. And then if you pull that paddle, or pull that arm where the paddle is out, then it unlocks the back tilt. And if you push it in, it'll lock the back tilt in place. Now, what's neat about this chair is that you can actually lock the back tilt in 2 different positions as you're leaning back. So there's the upright position, then you can lock it in about the halfway back position, and then finally in the full tilt back position. And this is really awesome to have in a chair if the headrest was better, but we'll get to that in the headrest section. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that I am a huge proponent of mesh seats. Mesh is more breathable, it's generally more resistant against stains, especially if you have a lighter colored fabric and you're wearing blue jeans. That blueness can rub off onto that fabric. And a bonus is that mesh is generally more resistant against booty juices. I will leave that to your imagination as to what booty juices are, but a lot of that just kind of passes through the mesh. This seat though, just gets me. I would say it's like a medium soft cushion, but it's really dense. And because it's dense, you don't sink into it. It actually feels like you're sitting on a cloud. And I can see here that it's got some bends already. I think it's kind of adapted to my booty already. Yeah, every time I sit on it, I'm always kind of like, whoa, like it feels like legit I'm sitting on a cloud. I am a huge fan of this seat. What's great about it is that because it's soft all around, it's gonna be perfect for the ergonomic rebels out there who like to raise your feet up. And because the arms sit further back on this chair than normal chairs, that's gonna make it even better for the ergonomic rebels out there. Speaking of the arms, you'll notice that the arms on this chair sit further back than normal, and that's not a bad thing because then it encourages you to have a wider chest as you sit rather than curling your shoulders forward. And it would be better if the backrest was designed a little bit differently, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. In terms of features, this is pretty basic. It just goes up and down, it goes forward and back, again, not as far, and then it swivels in and out. It's pretty basic for an armrest. And when it comes to the padding on top, it's got a little bit of give, but it's still pretty hard. The lumbar support on this chair is using a concept that's become really popular as of late, where it's got a detached piece from the backrest, and what happens is it sits on this pretty firm piece of plastic, and when you sit on it, it'll kind of bend down a little bit, but it's on a firm enough piece of plastic that it's still giving you like pushing into your back. And what's cool about this is that if you're sitting properly and you're exerting a lot of pressure, well, then it's putting a lot of pressure back on your back because it wants to get back into its neutral position. But when you lean back, because your lower back is being lifted off of the chair, if you had a static lumbar that was really aggressive, it might be digging into your back here. But in this case, it kind of moves out of the way and it's really nice. I personally prefer a little bit more of an aggressive lumbar approach, but that's just me. Again, this concept though, a lot of people seem to like it. It's become really popular thanks to the Mavix chair and the Now House chair, as well as a gazillion other chairs on Amazon that look very similar. The one downside about this is you can't tighten the tension, and because it's on a piece of plastic, it's possible that the plastic loses its tension over time. So something you might want to consider, especially again, if you're on the heavier end. The backrest on this chair feels exactly like that on the Staples Hyken, where it's really firm mesh, so it feels really supportive, but it's got this hard edge all on the outsides. Now, remember how I mentioned how the arms can pull back far, so that it should encourage open chest, open, wide sitting? Well, the problem is because this is a hard edge and it kind of curves in just a little bit, when you sit back and try to pull your arms back, you find that your triceps run into the hard frame. Now, I sat back to back on this chair and on the Hyken, and they feel exactly the same. They feel like in the exact same arm position, your arms crash into the sides of the frame. But the Hyken has a cult following, so this may be a non-issue for you, just wanted to bring it up. Now, if you're on the taller end, again, this chair can accommodate taller folks because the back can be notched up for a higher back height so that the corners, the edges here on top, aren't digging into your shoulders and your shoulder blades. Why? Why even include this thing? So the headrest is designed in a way where it's got this like candy cane looking shape, and the headrest dangles off the edge of it, and that means the headrest is really like floppy. And I think the idea for this design was that by doing this and having it be able to flex a little like this, if you were to sit on it and you wanted to like turn it this way or turn it to the left or turn it to the right, it would be flexible enough that you could do that. The only problem is they're using hard plastic here, so if you put it in any which way, it's gonna wanna snap back to its original position. So it's not gonna stay. This thing can technically be moved up and down, but again, because this part is so floppy, it's almost impossible to do without reaching all the way and then straining our muscles in this position, which if you're like me, is an ideal way to pull your muscle. Now, all of this would be redeemable if this headrest was in a usable position, but it's not. If you are sitting in your normal static position and you lean your head back, you don't wanna use your headrest like this, where my head feels super pulled back. And then when you lean back, one of the best things about having a headrest is that it could be turned a little bit like this so that you could actually see in front of you. But the way it's sitting now is that, look, if I wanna sit straight and look forward, I can't, I have a triple chin right now. If I'm kind of naturally going into where the headrest is, my only option is to look upwards. So yeah, this headrest is a huge miss. You might as well just remove it and save people some money by shaving some cost off of the total cost. So what do you guys think? Is this the chair for you? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you haven't already, get subscribed, like this video, because again, next week, we're gonna be checking out the other SIHOO Ergonomic office chair, not to be confused with all the other SIHOO Ergonomic office chairs. All right guys, until next time, stay safe, and as always, stay honest.